Welcome to the program.
Thank you so much.
What a beautiful voice you have.
Thank you very much.
I'd love to hear you sing. I'd love hearing you sing.
Thank you.
I'm so happy that you're singing in New York. When did you start singing in New York? You were at the Met, 2 years ago?
I was 2 years ago with Eugene Onegin of
Yes.
Tchaikovsky, and it was my debut, and I was so lucky because on the pit was Master Jimmy Levine, and it was a great pleasure for me, and my partners was so nice to me, so wonderful and warm. The partners was Eugene Onegin, was Dwayne Croft, the famous American baritone, and I'm so proud that I did my debut with such a colleague.
Yeah. You just did a debut a couple of nights ago, didn't you, in Washington?
Yes, it was the 30th of October, so 3 days ago I did my recital debut in Washington, and it went very, very well.
Well, I should say it did. I'm holding the review from the Washington Post in front of me from Tuesday, and it says things like a debut that will certainly be remembered as one of the most important in this city during the 1990s, took place Sunday night at the Lisner Auditorium, I guess they pronounce it.
Yes.
And then it says the first Washington performance by Russian soprano LJUBOV KAZARNOVSKAYA, who's been singing at the Met for 2 years, and it goes on and raves about you. In fact, the headline is Kazarnovskaya's soaring debut, and it ends with this line: Kazarnovskaya's interpretation generated an excitement comparable to that produced by the greatest singers of our time, young Leontine Price, for example. Isn't that wonderful?
Yes, by the way, Leontine Price is one of my favorite sopranos, and I love to hear her voice. She is a magnificent singer.
Yes, she is.
Yes.
But so are you.
Tell
me a little about yourself. Where were you born?
I born in Moscow.
Yeah.
Yes.
And where did you go to school?
Also in Moscow, and it was when I was 7 years old, I started my school education, and at the same time I started my piano lessons. So I did both. Regular school and music school.
Is that typical for singers in Russia?
No, at the time when I started my education, music education, not many people could do this music education because it costed a lot of money, and not so many people had money. Now people are more interesting to give the education for their kids because to be in touch with music all your life, it's so nice. If you're not even the musician, but to be involved with music business somehow, or like music and go to the performances, to the concerts, it's so nice, I think. It makes your life much more interesting. And
I don't know if you know very much about the American system of educating
No, I don't
musicians.
know.
So
No.
I'm always interested in how it compares with the Russian, because Russia has turned out such
Yeah.
great musicians.
Yes, that's right.
Not that we haven't, but I think the systems are very different.
Yes, completely different system. And the interesting thing, what I thought about this right now, that we had so much no in our life. No, it was prohibited, and so on and so on. And that's why people wanted so much to do prohibited things. It's
Like buy
people's
blue
nature.
jeans or something.
That's right,
I see, yeah.
And that's why everybody, if it was a really poor family, it doesn't matter. Everybody wanted to have such education for their kids. So we had tremendous generation of musicians. For instance, it was 50s, 60s. It was a lot of it. Was Oyster, Kogan, Gilels, a lot of famous musicians, and they performed all over the world. So everybody knows them.
And you studied with one of them.
Yes, that's right. I was so lucky because my first two teachers, I had two teachers. First teacher was a accompanist of Fyodor Shaliapin.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, famous bass. And she was also the teacher concertmeister in Stanislavski Opera Studio. So I was so lucky because I got from her the tradition of interpretation of Russian romances.
Yes.
Which is so important, and now I understand it when I'm performing all over the world.
I can hear that.
Yes, she did with me all those programs. And the second teacher was prima donna, former prima donna of Bolshoi Theater, wonderful soprano Yelena Shumilova, and she sang all the principal roles of soprano. And all her life she started with Italian teachers. So I had from both besides very nice and very important education of voice, you know.
Hmm. You also studied, didn't you, with Irina Arkhipova?
Yes, I began my conservatory education with Irina, and but Irina left conservatory after 2 years because she said that she wants to sing herself. And I understood it because, you know, when you're really singing on stage a lot, you can't give so much to your pupils what they expected from you, you know, because you have to sing with them, you have to show with your voice, and you become tired. Of course.
And in fact, didn't you just make a recording with her?
Yes, that's right.
Yes. What was it?
We did a lot. It wasn't really a recording, it was radio recording.
I see.
Yes, and we did with her 2 duets, Tatiana Olga and Lisa Paulina from Pidam and Eugene Onegin both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, you've got a few recordings. You did the Shostakovich 14.
Yes, with Deutsche Grammophongesellschaft,
Yeah.
with wonderful baritone Sergei Leferkus. And I have a Melodia recording of arias from Verdi and Puccini operas with Bolshoi Orchestra and with Mark Aron.
Can we buy that here?
Yes, it was in Tower Records. It is
Good.
It is still available, I think.
Good. Did you go down there and check?
I will.
Okay. Well, I'd love to hear you sing some more things, and I see you're going to sing a Tosti
Yes,
song.
that's right.
This is a Neapolitan song?
This is Neapolitan song. This is a song called L'ultima canzone, the last song.
Last song. And let me see. Oh, there was something. Oh, you're going to do a Bellini too?
Yes, Bellini ninfa.
Ninfa. I don't know
Yes.
this.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah, I'll bet
Yeah.
it is. Well, good. Here, once again, is soprano LJUBOV KAZARNOVSKAYA to sing for you, and Olla Brafsterman is at the piano. This is the Tosti song, L'ultima canzone, the last song, and Ninfa of Bellini. And they're singing live for you on Around New York.
Sposa, ed io ti
This is Around New York. I'm Steve Sullivan. My guest this hour is LJUBOV KAZARNOVSKAYA, who has just sung for you some Tosti and Bellini here on the Around New York studios. And that brings this beautiful, incidentally. And the Bellini brings up a question, I guess, about how singers train in Russia. I think of bel canto when I think of Bellini. And do you study all the things that in the West that singers study, like the bel canto things, like mezzo di voce and all those exercises?
I told you that I was lucky with my second teacher, Elena Shumilova, because she explained me the tradition of interpretation of Italian arietas and arias, and all these mezzo voce stuffs and pianos and so on, and pronunciation, which is so important because those two languages, Russian and Italian, we pronounce in a very different way.
Yes.
Italians pronounce in the mask,
very forward.
Very forward, yeah, that's right. And Russians talking like Americans.
Very back.
Very much in the back. So it needs a lot of work, really, to learn the style, to learn the language, the right pronunciation, the tradition. So, and I heard a lot of recording of Renato Tibaldi, who did those songs wonderful. And that's why I have now the idea what I have to do with those things.
Do you find that the Russian language and the American language have that in common? Do you think the English as pronounced by Americans is back?
Yes, I think so. I think so, yes. Because when you listen how American people talking, they're talking very much.
That's true. That's true.
Also Russians. We're talking.
Do the English pronounce English the same way?
No.
More forward?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
When I arrived in London, I realized immediately the difference between English, real English, and American English.
Yeah.
And I prefer American English.
Do you? Well,
yes.
it's closer to Russian.
Yeah.
Well, I admire the sound of the Russian language. It's such a beautiful language.
It's beautiful.
Especially when it's sung.
Yeah.
In your great operas and
I agree.
songs.
It's wonderful. With songs, with Russian operas, we have such a nice operas, which is pretty unknown in the West, by the way. For instance, the operas like Rimsky-Korsakov's Invisible Town Kitish and Tsar's Bride never performed in the West. And it's one of the most beautiful music, I ever heard in my life. It's Russian,
Yes.
It's beautiful.
War and Peace has not done much, the Prokofiev, and I love that.
Yeah,
That's
me too. I love this stuff so much.
I love Kutuzov. I love his
aria. Oh God.
Well, I love him.
Yeah.
He's such the idea that he would leave Moscow and let Napoleon take it because he could never take Moscow because Moscow was its people.
Yeah, I agree.
And the Russian
this
winter
patriotism,
killed the Napoleon army.
Yeah. Great history we have.
Oh, I get chills thinking about it.
Thanks God we have opera, War and Peace, because it's so beautiful. Poem of Tolstoy, War and Peace.
Great novel.
It's great Roman, and thanks God that Prokofiev wrote such beautiful music.
Do you think that the Russian language is accountable in some way for the great singers that Russia has produced? I mean, does the language itself help to produce a great singer?
I think yes, and especially we have a lot of great singers from Siberia and from Caucasus. So it's both two pieces because, Caucasus is like in Italy. It's sun.
Oh.
They have sun in the voice. And mostly they are tenors and sopranos from Georgia, from Armenia and so on. And we have famous basses from Siberia, Ural, this part of Russia. And this is profundo voice.
That's right.
It's beautiful. I love this.
I want to ask you about some conductors you've worked with. As a matter of fact, didn't Yevgeny Svetlanov write some orchestral versions of Balakirev songs for you?
Yes, he did, especially for me, because we met with Maestro Svetlanov during my Kitish performances. He invited me for Invisible Town Kitish and the Maiden Fevronia to do in Bolshoi with him. And he liked me very much, and he decided that we have to go something together. And he wrote the orchestra version of Balakirev songs. By the way, Oboymi, potsaluy, Embrace Me, Kiss Me was also was orchestrated by him. Yeah. It was wonderful, really wonderful. It was tremendous success in Big Hall of Moscow Conservatory, and the people were so enthusiastic because Balakirev usually you hear Balakirev with piano, not with orchestra. And also, you know what was very interesting? Balakirev has a Georgian song. This is a poem of Pushkin. Don't Sing, O Lovely One. So and Svetlanov did it so wonderful with orchestra. It sounded like bolero of Ravel.
Oh,
Da 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 dum pum. So it's typical Orient song. It's beautiful, really, and I enjoyed it so much.
and you've worked with von Karajan.
Yes. You know, it wasn't actually a work. It's a pity because we met with Maestro Karajan. He invited me for audition in Salzburg Festspiele. It was in 1989, and it was in March, and Maestro died in July.
Oh my goodness.
So I received my first Western invitation from Karajan, and it was Verdi Requiem in Salzburg. Not bad.
Yes.
Yes, and with great cast. It was Samuel Remy, Agnes Balza, Carreras, and me. So I was a totally unknown, completely unknown person in the West, and I received such an invitation. And you know, the tragedy is that Karajan died, and we sang it under Riccardo Muti, Master Riccardo Muti, in his memory.
That's nice.
It was so sad, but the big plus for me was that I met Maestro Karajan, and the last, let's say, private lesson with soloist was with me. It was Verdi Requiem and the C-moll Messe of Mozart, which he wanted to record with me. Yeah, C-moll Messe.
I must ask you about one more conductor because he's a personal favorite of mine. You worked, didn't you, with Rubinstein?
Oh yes.
What was that like?
You know, those two, Karajan and Mravinsky, they're very similar. They are greatest of the greatest. And they are like a patriarchs of music. And Maestro Mravinsky, we did not much, we did 2 concerts together in big hall of Leningrad Philharmonic. And, you know, I was crying afterwards because to meet with such a musician on stage, it's unbelievable. It's something. You can't explain it with the words. It's something happens with your soul, you know. It's some of vibrations from him that comes to your soul and your heart. It's incredible. He was one of the greatest musicians of our time.
I get chills hearing you talk about him. I'll never forget the first time I heard him. It was just on record, and I'd never heard anything like it.
Like this.
He was unique even among the great conductors. He was unique.
Yeah.
He was extraordinary.
Yeah,
well,
I agree.
That's quite an
I
experience.
agree. It's wonderful.
I'm anxious to hear you sing again.
Yeah.
Some Puccini you're going to do?
Yes.
From Manon Lescaut?
Yes.
You're going to do Sulla perduta e abbandonata, and if there's time, maybe a Ponchielli, Suicidio. Here is my guest this afternoon to sing. Olla Brafsterman is at the piano, and soprano LJUBOV KAZARNOVSKAYA will sing for you on Around New York. Sulla perduta e abbandonata from the last act of Manon Lescaut of Puccini at the piano, Olla Brafsterman and soprano LJUBOV KAZARNOVSKAYA singing. Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I wish we had time for lots more.
Yes, I hope
It
so.
was nice of
It
you
was
to come
so
by.
nice experience. Thank you so
I enjoyed
much.
having you here very much. You're going to be at the Metropolitan Opera
Yes, at
in-
15th and 19th of November in
doing
Pagliacci.
Nedda in Pagliacci.
That's
And
right.
in fact, Louis Quilico is going to be here. He's going to be your Tonio
Yes.
in the 19th
He
performance.
is wonderful. We just had a rehearsal.
Isn't he a wonderful fella?
Yes, he is. I mean, you know his age. I don't want to talk about his age, but he is pretty old. Yeah, let's say so. And he sounds so
Doesn't he?
wonderful.
It's so easy for him.
It's so easy and so natural. It's
It is.
so beautiful. And
He
I
just-
asked him what a secret. He said, God was so nice to me.
He's a sweet man.
He's a very sweet man,
Yeah.
and I'm looking forward to do this. And Maestro Badea, who is on the pit, Maestro
Oh.
Christian Badea, he's a wonderful conductor, and I'm also looking forward to meet with him.
And you're also singing at, I don't know about this season, but I know you've sung at Lyric in
Yes.
Chicago. You're going to
Yeah.
be there this year?
No, this year not, but we have some projects, some discussions,
Yeah.
and I hope I'll return to Chicago because I love this opera house. very
And
much.
and you've done San Francisco
Yes.
at the War Memorial. And
Yeah,
well, I
like,
hope
like Clemenza.
I hope you do lots more in New York. You're going to do a recital here?
I'm planning to do recital also in Lincoln Center.
Good.
In March.
You keep us posted, won't
Yeah,
you?
sure.
You come back and visit?
Yes,
Thank
sure.
you, thank
With
you.
pleasure.
Thank you very much for coming
Thank
here
you
today.
so much.
Enjoyed hearing you and talking to you. Soprano LJUBOV KAZARNOVSKAYA, and my thanks to Olla Brafsterman at the piano, too. Thank you very much.